So the recording will be sent to everyone who registered for this workshop. All right, so without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to the Edgewood Senior Work Nurses who will be leading us in a presentation about simplifying nutrition for your mental health. So Faith, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I just wanted to say again, welcome to our presentation on simplifying nutrition for your mental health. I just wanted to first start by introducing ourselves. So my name is Faith, and I will be starting us off with this presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren.
Hi, my name's Bailey.
And I'm Sophia.
I'm Abigail.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Emma.
Okay, so we just want to start off by saying a little bit about what our presentation is about, and we just want to emphasize that food and nutrition play a vital role in supporting our mental health. So making those healthy choices can often feel overwhelming. So in this hour-long presentation, we will chat about healthy food options, easy recipes, places to buy groceries for less. And from those good to bad days, our goal is to provide healthy and realistic food options that can help benefit your mood and mental well being. And I also just want to emphasize that we're all learning and growing when it comes to nutrition and our health. And the goal isn't perfection, it's just we're doing our best to make these choices that help us become the healthiest versions of ourselves. And I do want to say, please ask questions throughout this presentation. We'd be happy to answer them. And then moving on to slide 2, I am just going to start by discussing how the food you actually eat matters, especially when it comes to our mental health. Because nutrition isn't just about those physical looks, but rather how it can influence our brain function, energy levels, and even mood. From there, we'll kind of talk about what a balanced plate can look like using the food pyramid as a simple guide. And then rather than focusing on strict diets or complicated rules, we want to show how this balance can be practical and realistic. And we'll also go into ways to make grocery shopping easier because even those small decisions can feel overwhelming. And through sharing ideas that make shopping more simpler, more affordable, and less stressful. Then we'll go into snack cravings because these are normal things to feel. And instead of avoiding them, we want to discuss some tips to make snacking still satisfying, but more beneficial to our health. So we'll continue to dive into the grocery stores while introducing some useful resources to help you on the new journey. And overall, we just want to make nutrition less intimidating and more manageable, especially with mental health issues that can make everyday tasks a little bit harder. So moving on, we want to start by talking about food that equals mood. And I will let Emma take that away.
Hello again. I'm Emma. I'm going to be talking about why the food you eat matters for your mental health and then what a balanced plate looks like. So the first question is, why does the food you eat matter for your mental health? Food can play a big factor into mental health, and the food you eat can have many benefits to your body, both physically and mentally. Food can have many benefits again, such as giving your body an energy boost. It supplies the body with the energy it needs to continue through each day. I know me personally, I have recently been trying to be better about my diet. The stress of nursing school has made my diet not the greatest, so I've been working on bettering that. And I definitely noticed that I have mentally been feeling a lot better and just like both physically and mentally with my choices. Food can also be fuel for your brain. Your brain's always on and it needs constant fuel to continue to function well. Healthy foods are like the premium fuel you put in your car, whereas foods high in things such as refined sugar can cause your brain stress and increase inflammation. Healthy food can also lower risk for certain diseases, such as eating a healthier diet can contribute to a lower risk for obesity, heart disease, and stroke. type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers. Eating foods with high saturated fats, a small portion, can increase risks for these diseases as you tend to eat more of those as they don't fill you up as much as a balanced meal would. Um, and then lastly, it can also, a healthy diet can counteract stress on your body. Eating a healthy diet can decrease inflammation in the body, regulate cortisol, and boost calming neurotransmitters such as serotonin. And then it can also stabilize blood sugar, prevent energy crashes, and support immune system repair. Moving on to the next slide. So what does a balance plate look like? A balance plate can look very different to everybody, but I just included a picture of what a general healthy plate looks like. A balanced plate is about 25% healthy protein, which can include foods such as meat, beef, poultry, or fish, nuts, or beans. The photo says to avoid processed or cold cut meats, but they do still have protein and can count if that's something you enjoy as well. The next part of a balanced plate are whole grains. This could be whole wheat breads or pastas, and brown rice also has quite a bit of whole grain as well. The next section on the plate are fruits. Making sure to consume fruits of all colors can be beneficial as each have different nutrients in them. For example, blueberries are full of antioxidants, which can help keep the body's cells safe. The last portion, or the main portion of a balanced plate, are vegetables. Vegetables should take up about a third of your plate if possible, but any vegetables are great. The greater the variety, the better. Carrots and broccoli are great options, and they can also be found in like frozen packages that are easy to microwave if you're cut for time. And then there are also two last sections to a balanced plate: healthy oils and water. Healthy oils such as olive oil can be used for cooking or on salad, but should be limited past that if possible. And then lastly, water is a huge part of a balanced plate and body, and we should be drinking about 8 glasses a day if possible. This all could be sounding very overwhelming, which is totally understandable. And we as a group don't want you thinking that this needs to be done all at once. You can implement one of these sections into a meal each day, and slowly adding or substitute other things whenever you feel ready or have the ability to. And this is just a general template, so everybody has an idea of kind of where to start.
All right, we do have a question of how many servings are you supposed to eat in a day?
Yeah, so for each, it differs per like group. For vegetables, you should be eating about 2 to 3 cups per day. So uh, the way that they kind of describe it is like 1 to 2 handfuls. For fruits, it works out to be a cup and a half to 2 cups per day. For whole grains, I kind of see like mixed numbers for everything. So this is just a general overview. But it says to consume about 3 to 6 servings per day. And a serving example could be like a slice of whole wheat bread, a cup of ready to eat cereal, or half a cup of oatmeal. And then finally, for protein, the daily amount is 5 to 6.5 servings or 55 to 110 grams of protein per day. There's a formula that's used just to figure out how much you should eat based on your weight in kilograms, but this is just a general good start. And a good example of like what a serving of protein looks like could be like an ounce of fish or meat, a tablespoon of peanut butter, or an egg.
Awesome. Okay, well, now we're kind of gonna dive into food that equals mood. So I'm just gonna go into a little bit more of what food groups kind of help us with our mood and our energy and our sleep. So moving on to the next slide, I'll kind of introduce a few of those things. So starting with mood, Certain foods can help our brain stay balanced. So foods like fatty fish, leafy greens, dark chocolate, and like fermented foods like yogurt. This can all support our brain health. So these foods help our body make important chemicals that kind of control how happy or calm we feel. So when we do eat more whole foods and fewer highly processed foods, our mood can definitely feel more steady. And I do want to emphasize there's no need to like try all of these for mood, energy, and sleep. Like it's okay to start at one place and not try this all at the same time. So next is energy. So foods like whole grains, fruits, and healthy fats, these give us steady fuel throughout the day. So let's say if we skip a meal or we're eating mostly sugary snacks, our energy may like spike and then that usually crashes. So this crash then makes us feel tired and irritable or maybe unfocused. So adding like that more protein and nuts, seeds, yogurt, or eggs, these can all help us stay full for longer, which can help our energy stay a little bit more stable throughout the day. Um, and lastly, sleep. Sleep is also very important. Nutrients like magnesium, which is found in nuts, seeds, and leafy greens, can kind of help our body relax. So, eating these balanced meals like throughout the day and not overdoing caffeine can also really help improve our sleep because sleep is definitely a very important part of our mental health. So when we sleep better, our mood and our stress levels usually improve too. So overall, food is not about being perfect again. It's about giving your brain and body the support it needs. So any small changes can make a really big difference in how you feel every day. So next I am going to explain the new food pyramid. So I just want to kind of talk about what changed and why. Because we know in the past, the nutrition guidelines kind of focused heavily on those grains and low-fat foods, because fats were often seen as something to avoid. And there was a strong emphasis on kind of cutting calories, but now the focus has kind of changed, and protein is really encouraged at every meal because it helps keep that blood sugar steady, improves that focus and energy. So instead of pushing that low fat dairy, the new guidance kind of supports that full fat dairy, but without the added sugars. So there's also stronger focus on whole foods like vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, and whole grains while kind of reducing the refined carbohydrates and highly processed foods. So another big change is also the emphasis on food quality over just counting calories. So it's less about eating less and it's more about eating better. So the updated recommendations also encourage drinking water instead of sugary drinks. I think we forget about water sometimes, and like Emma said, 8 glasses a day can be so important. And limiting the alcohol and even eating the right amount for your body and activity levels. So if you work out more or you need more energy, like it's always important to fuel your body and listen to your body. Um, so yeah, overall the shift has moved from kind of a strict low fat and grain heavy advice to more like balance, focusing on those whole foods that supports our physical and mental health. Okay, I see we have a question. So the question is, why was the food pyramid changed, and how do you read the food pyramid? So the food pyramid changed kind of to reflect like new nutrition research and encourage more healthier eating habits. So the updated version kind of focuses more on those whole foods and protein and those healthy fats, instead of those low fats that it was prior. And it really focuses on reducing those processed foods and added sugar. So this helps people build balanced meals, and it's also shown to reduce the risk of chronic diseases, is what they're hoping for instead of focusing on those low fats and those processed foods. Um, and the food pyramid, so the new food pyramid prioritizes protein and healthy fats as the kind of the foundation of the diet. Um, so it kind of starts at the base. So now that's kind of like the top. So it did kind of flip. So at the top, you'll see the protein, healthy fats, and like full fat dairy. So that includes like your nuts and your olive oil, your avocado, your meat. and your fat dairy, like yogurt and cheese. So that's kind of at the top on the left, which is right now is the priority of the food pyramid. And then we move over to the right side, we have kind of like the top right middle section, which is our vegetables and fruits. So these kind of provide like our essential vitamins and minerals and the fiber that we need to support our overall disease, our health and disease prevention. And then as we go down to the bottom, we have the smallest section, which is kind of the lowest priority, which is our whole grains, excuse me. So foods like the bread and pasta and rice should be eaten in smaller amounts compared to our proteins and our vegetables at the top of the pyramid.
We have another comment in the chat. And just to paraphrase, they list that the new food pyramid doesn't take into consideration income, access to actual grocery stores, and was not based on real medical experts. So, what are your all's thoughts on, we can look at the food pyramid versus a balanced plate. What are you what are your thoughts on that comment?
Hi, I'm Lauren. I just kind of wanted to touch base on this comment. We do current events in our community health class right now, and we actually had a student the other day address some of the concerns with the new food pyramid, and I think that a few of these things were addressed. So, the concerns I think that people are having in relation to these new food pyramids I would say are valid, and I think that there is some evidence base behind these thoughts. So I just wanted to validate your feelings.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashley again. So the next slide, we're just going to be talking about like groceries and how our goal of the presentation is to keep food simple and affordable and to help reduce that stress and decision fatigue that you can have when you may be grocery shopping or making foods. When it comes to grocery shopping or even cooking in general, it can be a daunting and stressful task, but it doesn't have to be. With small changes and even consistent changes over time can overall help your well-being. We want to provide simple ways that you can change some eating habits to help improve your mental health while also providing simple snack changes that can help reduce stress and decision fatigue.
Hi everyone. I'm Sophia. So I'm going to be talking about about protein and why it matters for our mood and energy. I think a lot of times when we think about food and our mental health, we think about things that, se seem to make us happy, like sugar, caffeine, or maybe comfort foods. But we don't always think about protein. Protein actually plays a really big role in helping our bodies and brains feel steady and balanced. Protein is important because it helps your body build and repair tissues, but it also helps make certain brain chemicals that affect your mood. So these brain chemicals help control how calm, focused, or energized we feel on a daily basis. So when we're not getting enough protein, it can affect not just our muscles, but also our mood and energy levels. One of the biggest things protein does is help stabilize your blood sugar. And blood sugar is the amount of sugar in your blood that your body uses for energy. So when we're only eating things like carbs, like chips, white bread, pastries, or sugary snacks, our blood sugar can spike up really fast. And at first, we might feel that quick boost of energy, but then it crashes down. And when it crashes, we can feel tired, irritable, shaky, sometimes more anxious or more down than usual. Some people also notice that they have trouble focusing or feel more like emotional in that up and down cycle. And that can just make it feel harder to manage stress. It can also make us crave more quick carbs, which then keeps that cycle going. So protein really does help slow that down. And when you eat protein with your meals or snacks, it can help slow digestion and keep your blood sugar more stable. So that means instead of these big highs and lows, you can feel more steady throughout the day. And you may notice a better focus, more energy, and fewer intense like sh sugar crashes. Um, some easy protein options can include things like beans, so black beans, lentils, and chickpeas. And these can be bought canned or dried. And a quick tip is if you are using canned dried, you can rinse them off before eating them to get some of that extra salt content off. And then chicken, beef, and turkey are also great options, as well as tuna, which is another great affordable options, especially canned tuna or little packs of tuna, which can be a great quick snack or part of a meal. Peanut butter is another great way to get protein. Also, yogurt and choosing a higher protein yogurt, if able, is always helpful because it keeps you fuller for longer. So a few quick tips to make some of these options more affordable. You can use canned or frozen proteins, and if you're able, try to choose low salt or no salt added options. Frozen meats and frozen fish tend to be cheaper and can also last longer. And you can also look for meats that are on sale and then freeze them, so then they don't go bad. And you can thaw them when you're ready to use them. Buying store brands instead of name brands can also help save money, and the nutrition is very similar. Our goal here is not perfection, it's just adding some protein to meals or snacks when you can. Small, realistic changes are what make the biggest difference over time, and food can be a helpful tool to help support your mental health, and protein is a simple place to start. So next, yep, carbohydrates.
We have a comment in the chat. And they say, I think these guidelines are very helpful, but people need to be aware of how different proteins, um, be aware of different proteins. For instance, beans and yogurts do not work for me. So, what would be some suggestions of different ways to approach getting more protein in your diet if kind of some of the more talked about proteins don't work for a person? What are some alternative proteins?
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a valid concern. I think it's hard to find proteins that um, aren't, I guess, talked about as much, especially if we're just talking about, Greek yogurt and beans. So a few other proteins are like eggs, um, or being able, cheese is actually another sort of protein that you can add to like sandwiches. Um, and I think just being able to find protein options that fit into your diet. So like even if you're able to add like whole grains into your diet, like bread, um, trying to find little switches here or there. And we could also try and find you some more options that fit more into your diet. If you wanted to send like your email to Quinn, I'd be more than willing to send you some options to your email as well.
Okay, carbohydrates. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates play an important role in our brain and how our brain functions throughout the day. When we don't eat enough carbs, our brain doesn't have a main source of energy, which is what our body needs to last throughout the entire day. Like mentioned in the protein slide, blood glucose can play a huge part on how our brain can function. The less carbs that we eat, the higher our blood glucose will be. Like I said, carbohydrates play a part in giving our body energy. So eating grains or pasta helps our body from raising our blood sugar and helps prevent energy crash outs, which is where your body gets tired and you just want to like lay down. This is where the body doesn't have enough energy, so it turns to our blood sugar, which is what raises our blood sugar. When it comes to eating carbs, there are many different things that we can eat. You can make a quick simple meal of chicken and rice, which gives you protein and carbs. You can get enough carbs from just eating instant rice, which is the same as cooking it yourself. Pasta is a quick and simple way to get carbs, whether it be pasta salad with vegetables or pasta with like spaghetti sauce. Bread is another big thing. Eating toast in the morning is a great way to get some quick carbs to quick start the day. And then some tips when buying carbs, we want to keep the cost low. So the biggest one would be buying grains when they're on sale or stocking up. So some examples of grains would be like oats, rice, pasta, or even bread. You can freeze bread, which will make the bread last a lot longer. Another way to save when buying carbs is to buy store brand, which is just as nutritious as name brands are. And then when buying pasta or bread, it can also be a healthy switch to buy whole grain, which will give you more energy throughout the day as well. So I
You
do
have
have a
a,
question.
okay. Go ahead, Ashley.
Um, so the first question was, what is a healthy amount of carbs to eat in a day? That's a really great question. So when we talk about carbs, carbs shouldn't be looked at as a bad thing. We want to make sure we're eating plenty of carbs a day. There are two main different types of carbs that we want to make sure we are eating. There's complex and simple carbs. Complex carbs are the most nutritious between the two because they're larger molecules and take longer for our body to break down, which will make us not be so hungry throughout the day. Some examples of complex carbs are like whole grains, brown rice, vegetables, nuts, beans, and fruits. And then simple carbs are smaller molecules and are absorbed into the body faster. These provide quick energy, but that energy doesn't last long. Some examples of these are white rice, milk, cookies, and like pastries, like our sweets that we go to. The general recommendation for carbs is the amount of grams that you get per meal. So for men, it's recommended to get 60 to 75 grams of carbs per meal, and for women, it's 45 to 60 grams per meal. To reach our daily goal of carbs, we want to make sure we are at least eating 130 grams of carbs every day to help get that energy to make our body last throughout the day. To find how many carbs are in something you are eating, you can look at like the nutrition labels to figure out the grams that are found in each of the foods you are eating. And then eating more complex carbs throughout the day allow the body's energy to stay steady due to the slower release, which can help stabilize our mood throughout the day. And then there was another question. I'm trying to find it.
I can help you. The next question was, what is the best timing to consume carbs?
So typically you want to start by eating carbs early in the morning. That way they last longer throughout your body throughout the entire day. And then just eating carbs with each meal is also very important. Okay. And then fruits and vegetables, we all hear lots of things about these. Um, so fruits and vegetables are important to make sure our body is receiving vitamins and minerals, which we get from eating fruits and vegetables. Eating adequate fruits and vegetables is important to help with our stress response. Like it was mentioned in the balanced plate, should be eating plenty of fruits and vegetables daily. It's recommended that we eat 2 to 3 cups of fruit and vegetables to make sure we're receiving enough of those vitamins and minerals. There are many different fruits and vegetables that we can eat to make sure we are reaching our daily goal. There are many types of berries like blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, which are all a great source of vitamin C, which is essential for strengthening our immune system and helping reduce our stress response. Other fruits that are really great for helping reduce stress would be like bananas, apples, and any citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, or grapefruit. Eating vegetables is also important to make sure we are balancing our blood sugar, which can help reduce our stress. Some good vegetables to eat are like broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, kale, cucumber, stuff like that. And then just some like overall tips when it comes to buying fruits and vegetables. You can visit your local farmers market or like local food stands, which will have some of the best prices for some of the fresh you'll probably find are vegetables. And then frozen fruits and vegetables are just as nutritious as fresh fruit and vegetables. You just like thaw them out and then you can cook them if you're making vegetables, or you thaw them out and you can eat them like fresh fruit. And then another way to get vegetables or even fruit, you can buy canned, which can be significantly cheaper and are just as good for you. You can like rinse them off. For vegetables, you can rinse them off to remove some of the added salt. And for fruit, I know you can buy stuff that has like no sugar added in the syrups.
We do have a comment, and someone noted that grapefruit and grapefruit juice is incompatible with some medications. So it's good to double check before eating, which is a great note, especially when we're thinking of psychiatric medications and how grapefruit juice is incompatible with those medications. Yeah. So what would you all drink instead of grapefruit juice? What are some other citrus that would be good, especially citrus that are filling? A lot of people eat grapefruits in the morning with grapefruit and cottage cheese was something that was talked about in the 90s for a long time, which is great. We're debunked that, but what may be some other citrus that would be good to include in the diet?
Yeah, so that brings up a really great point that grapefruit does interact with a lot of medications. Like I said, like oranges and lemons are a really good alternative too, whether it be like orange juice, but you're still getting that same amount of vitamins and minerals as you would if you were to eat like a normal orange. Same with like lemons, and I know we'll get to this later, but like even putting some lemon in some water is also a great way that you can also get some of that citrus in the morning.
All right. So, next I'm going to talk about just some ways that we can hopefully save a little bit of money here on groceries in Dane County. As we all know, grocery prices are just keep going up and up, which is really stressful. And especially if you're already dealing with other stressors and just worrying about the cost of everything makes things harder. So, this is just a few tips to hopefully make things a little more simple and realistic ways to kind of stretch your grocery budget. So, first, I'm going to dive into a few local store options. So, Woodman's is often known for having lower overall grocery prices. They also have lower cost store brands, which are just as good as name brands. And Woodman's can be a great place to buy staples like rice, pasta, beans, peanut butter, and frozen food in larger quantities. And then, if you're able, buying larger sizes can sometimes save money in the long run if you're able to store them. Next, Aldi's is another great option. They are known for low-cost produce and pantry items. The store is smaller, so sometimes that can make shopping a little quicker and less overwhelming. Many of their items are also store brand, which again keeps those prices down. And Aldi's can be a great place to buy basics like eggs, yogurt, canned goods, and frozen fruits and vegetables. Lastly, Walmart Supercenter is another option. They often have lower prices on pantry staples and household items. It can also be helpful because you can get groceries and your other like household shopping done all in one trip, which can, save you a little bit of time. Um, so next I want to share just kind of some overall tips to help save money no matter where you go shopping. So like I've said multiple times, store brands are a big thing that can help save money, and they usually cost less. And again, the nutrition is very similar to the name brands. Second, checking weekly ads if you're able. You don't need to spend a lot of time doing this. Even just taking a quick glance at maybe what proteins or produce are on sale that day or week can kind of help you plan your shopping around some of those cheaper items. And then buying frozen fruits and vegetables is another great tip. Frozen foods tend to be cheaper and last longer. And then they also can help reduce that food waste because they don't go as bad as quickly as fresh produce. And then, like I mentioned earlier in the slides, freezing extra meat when it's on sale can also help. And if you see like chicken or ground turkey or ground beef, whatever it is, at a good price, you can always buy it and freeze it even into smaller portions. So you can just take out that portion and then that way you kind of have it ready for future meals. Saving money on groceries, it can be really challenging, but trying to find little things here and there to make it easier is really what we're trying to do. It's about, small changes that can help add up over time. Um, and hopefully it can be easier to make balanced choices that can help support your mental health. Even making like, one or two smaller changes could make a big difference. So next, I'm going to hand it over to Bailey.
Hey, hi guys, my name's Bailey. I'm gonna talk about some alternative snack ideas to help you curb specific cravings. Okay, so first of all, why do we crave certain things? So it's important for us to remember that cravings are not a weakness at all. They are information. There's just a really good chance that your brain may be seeking dopamine. So to get into a little bit of science behind that, things like sugar, salt, or certain textures can trigger your body's reward system. So when you eat these things, taste receptors on your tongue can detect them, and signals are then sent to your brain, specifically areas that are tied to pleasure and motivation, and your brain releases dopamine. And dopamine, if you don't know, is a chemical in your brain that drives reward, motivation, and feel-good emotions. So, cravings can happen for many reasons. Your body may need energy, your blood sugar is up and down because eating a lot of sugar can cause a crash later on. You could be stressed, you are using food to feel calm, comforted, or distracted. You might be dehydrated, or you're feeling tired. So, how do you approach these things? I want you to ask yourself these questions. So, take a pause, think about what your body may need. Think, am I stressed? Am I tired? Am I thirsty? Because hunger and thirst use the same control center in the brain. So, sometimes your brain can misinterpret we need fluids for we need food. So if you've decided you are hungry, you can try to eat a balanced snack. Protein and fiber is a great option. Personally, I was super interested to learn that protein and fiber every 3 to 4 hours can help stabilize your blood sugar and your mood. And then in the end, if you're still craving something after hydrating and eating something balanced, then of course it's okay to enjoy a snack mindfully. Okay, so next we're going to talk about specifically sweet cravings. So if you're craving something sweet, our brain is usually looking for a quick energy or that dopamine boost that I mentioned. The problem with eating straight sugar by itself is that it can quickly cause a spike in energy and then a quick crash. So some different ideas, yogurt options. So Greek yogurt with berries is a great option. You could also freeze the yogurt with a drizzle of peanut butter on it, or you could also add sugar-free Jello packets and mix it in with your yogurt to make it taste a little better if you're not a fan of yogurt. Frozen grapes or blueberries are also a great option. Freezing your fruit makes them not only last longer, but also changes the texture. That cold and crunchy feeling can also be satisfying in a similar way to candy. Apple slices with peanut butter are a good option, banana with a few chocolate chips, um, dark chocolate, and specifically dark chocolate because it has less sugar than milk chocolate and it contains components that may support mood, and sometimes just a small amount of dark chocolate can satisfy the sweet craving. And lastly, adding sweets with protein to stay full longer is a great idea. I know, like at Aldi, they have protein granola. They have a cinnamon one that I personally love, and I always add it to my yogurt, so I'm getting a little extra protein in. This, of course, isn't about cutting sweets out completely. It's just about helping your brain feel better for longer. These options still give you something sweet, but they also include protein and or fiber, and that helps your blood sugar stay more steady, which can help your mood stay more steady as well. Okay, next, some salty cravings. So, salt cravings can happen when we're feeling stressed, tired, or slightly dehydrated. Salty and crunchy foods can feel calming to our nervous system. So, some different ideas for snacks could be cheese. Choose low sodium options if possible. Nut mixes, cottage cheese, which you could also add fruit to. I know people like to add pineapple to their cottage cheese. Edamame is a great option, and edamame can be bought frozen at the grocery store, and then you can just heat it up in the microwave. Wheat options such as whole grain crackers and whole wheat toast, lightly salted popcorn, hummus, avocado toast with a sprinkle of salt, or personally, I love everything but the bagel seasoning, so that's a great option as well. Much like sweet options, these foods will give you something salty, and they'll also include some protein and fiber, which can help you stay full longer and keeps your energy more steady. Um, if you want chips sometimes, that's totally okay. I totally get that. The goal is not to never eat them. It's to have options that make you feel better for longer.
All right, so I'm just going to be talking about a couple like crunchy snacks that you can have. So sometimes we crave these crunchy foods because they actually make our brain feel less stressed when we eat them. So, like when we bite into something crunchy, that sound or texture when you actually bite into it can be really satisfying and trigger that reward system that Bailey was just talking about, and our brains enjoy that. So, chewing something crunchy can release tension in your jaw, almost like if you're stressed out, you want to like bite down or squeeze something. So, crunchy snacks can actually be very beneficial for that. So instead of just automatically reaching for some chips, there's some snacks that you can try include raw vegetables like carrots, celery, broccoli. They all give you that satisfying kind of crunch, but they're also healthy ways to fuel your body with nutrients that help support our energies and mood. And if you don't want to eat them just like raw vegetables, you can always add your like favorite dressing on the side. Like I love eating veggies with ranch. And instead of just buying like normal like ranch in the bottle from the store, you can also get like plain Greek yogurt and get a little ranch packet and mix that into it to make it a little bit healthier as well. And then another great option is rice cakes because they are very versatile and you can honestly dress them up however you think will fill your body best. So you can make them savory by adding proteins like cottage cheese or tuna and then sprinkling your favorite spices on them. I personally love eating rice cakes with some cottage cheese, salt, and pepper, and then I add a little bit of sliced up tomato on it. And then you could also go sweet with this. You could try yogurt on top of it and then add some berries. And it's really all just about finding ways to enjoy like a crunchy snack while still taking care of your body. So then next, we're going to talk about some quick protein snacks. So Sophia mentioned a little bit about how protein fuels our body. So when we don't get enough protein, we're more likely to feel tired and foggy, and then we can get pretty hungry again pretty quickly. So adding protein to snacks helps keep us fuller for longer, and it supports steady energy throughout the day. And some really simple options are things like hard-boiled eggs, cottage cheese, and edamame. They are easy to like grab and go ahead of time or prep them like edamame, just throwing it in the microwave. And another great option is canned tuna or like pre-made tuna packets that come in like different flavors with different spices on them. And they're typically a pretty affordable option, especially if you look at your local Aldi's. They're high in protein, they're easy to add to other snacks like rice cakes, like I mentioned. You can eat them with crackers, you can put it on salads. And then another quick option is grabbing a protein bar can be pretty helpful too. You just want to try and look for ones that have a decent amount of protein and not a lot of added sugars. And like we've mentioned a couple times, the goal isn't like perfection with these kinds of things. It's just about having a few easy protein options in your routine so you're not running on empty. And when we fuel our bodies consistently, it really does help support our mood, focus, and overall well-being. So, next, Bailey did talk about sometimes when we feel like we're hungry, it's just our body letting us know that we're actually thirsty. And dehydration can show up in many ways. And that could be you're feeling really tired, you have a headache, your energy feels low, or even you're craving just wanting to eat foods or something sweet. So, a really simple first step is to ask yourself, have I had anything to drink recently? And something as simple as a splash of water with your favorite fruit that you can just slice up and throw into your water can make it feel a little bit more refreshing and less boring. Because sometimes drinking water can be boring. So adding like little fruits into it can make it seem more fun. And if you like something with more texture or bubbles, you can have sparkling waters, which can give you that same kind of satisfaction as soda, but without those added sugars. And if you're craving something sweet, sometimes a warm tea or even black coffee can help satisfy that feeling without reaching for a sugary drink. And like I said, the goal isn't about trying to cut everything out. It's just to take a pause and check in with yourself because sometimes your body isn't asking for food, it's just asking for some hydration.
Hi everyone. Just to reiterate, I'm Lauren. I just want to start by prefacing that we're all nursing students and we're working jobs and frankly struggling to get by. So, making this PowerPoint was not only to give out simple options and ideas for you guys, but it was honestly really beneficial for us, as I commonly forget to eat food, and am looking for really simple snacks. So, here in the next few slides, I am just going to talk about some quick and easy snacks that can be made within your home just to help promote your health. Each of these snacks will be fairly cost friendly and can really incorporate many of the ingredients that you already have at your home to tailor them to your specific likings and to make them even better. Like Sophia said, often store brand is often better than your name brand, and they usually have very similar nutritious makeup. So our goal for this was to strive for convenience and something to benefit your health and take out the stress for food prep. Alrighty, the first little snack that we kind of came up with were these pre-mixed salad bags. A lot of the pricing that I'm going to be putting on the next few slides are based around Aldi pricings, as those are some of the most affordable that you'll be able to find around you in your community. These premixed salad bags are a really good source of vegetables. You can add many things again to tailor them to your tastes and your likings, such as fruits or vegetables. These are found at places beyond Aldi, but they can cost as cheap as $3.29 at your local Aldi. And one of the perks about these is that they can serve anywhere from 1 to 4 people, depending on how hungry you are. So this is super easy, quick little snack or meal for your family if you're sort of cutting it short on time. Next are little veggie snacks. There are so many little combinations you can make with vegetables. These are also a really great source to get your daily veggie intake and spice it up to make it a little bit more interesting than normally the bland veggies that not everyone really likes. These can be as simple as, your usual carrots and celery and ranch, but you can also spice it up and put some cream cheese on your bell peppers or your cucumbers like we have here. And again, seasonings are a really great way to make these taste different. Like Bailey had mentioned before, another one of my favorites is the everything with a bagel seasoning. But if you don't have those at home, anything honestly that you can find in your house that tailors these more to what you like in your flavors, really can spice these veggies up and help incorporate more veggies into your daily foods. You can find some of these seasonings and spices again at your local Aldi for as cheap as $1.95. But if you don't have these, if you can't find these at your local Aldi, again, they're all over the place, and that is if you don't already have them in your house. If you don't like our little idea of maybe the everything bagel seasoning and cream cheese. You can also eat these veggies with hummus, tzatziki, sour cream, sort of anything that um, appeals to your liking. Next would be our oats. There are so many ways that you can make oats. Oats are such a good source of fiber. You can top it with some peanut butter to add a little bit of protein. You can include some honey, fruits, or even brown sugar to make it a little bit more sweet. And again, there's so many additives that you can put with your oats to add some flavor. Things and spices such as like cinnamon, some nutmeg, some chia seeds. Honestly, whatever you can find in your home. And there are also a variety of ways that you can prepare oatmeal. Something as simple as overnight oats are a super quick and simple little way to have a breakfast already prepared for the morning. You just take it out of the fridge and are on the go. Oats can be found, again, fairly cheap, and milk. That's all you need to make your instant oats, or I'm sorry, your overnight oats, and adding whatever you would like for it. Something I would recommend is not throwing in your fruit the night before because sometimes it gets a little soggy in the milk, but again, everyone teach their own. So whatever your preferences are. And then lastly, another super easy, quick snack that you can prepare that is also fairly nutritious for you is prepackaged tuna. Tuna is another great source of protein that can be prepared in so many diverse ways, and it's fairly simple to prepare. Um, Fat-free tuna is something that you can also get at your local Aldi. In this picture in the bottom right corner, the fat-free tuna salad actually comes with crackers and tuna prepared already. So super easy, quick snack that you can just pick up and take with you, and it's already a little mix prepared for you. But if that is not something that you are very fond of, um, tuna is a really great option to mix with some of your bold flavors. So your sriracha, your hot sauce, your jalapenos, it goes super well with these bold flavors that you can add with them. If those aren't something that you like, you can add more flavors such as lemon juice, mustard, mayo, avocado. Again, anything that you really have in your home. There's some really good spices that you can add to these, like lemon pepper. I have a picture included of that one you can find at your Aldi, or the everything but the bagel seasoning. I will always go for the everything but the bagel seasoning. Kind of like Abigail said, talking about some of these like texture foods that you might be craving. If you are looking for maybe a little bit of crunch or more texture, you can find crackers or pretzels or even pickles to really give this tuna a little bit more of a texture. You can find some of these pretzel slims at Aldi's, which are also one of my favorite snacks that I like to eat. And again, as you can see, this packaged tuna and the pretzels and the fat-free tuna mix are all fairly affordable. Again, these are from your local Aldi pricing, so they might be a little bit more expensive at like a Woodman's or a Target or somewhere else like that, but Aldi's got you if you're looking for some really affordable prices. Um, awesome. And now we're going to be touching on just some of the resources that we have for you guys. I know someone had mentioned before talking about some food pantries. If people aren't very familiar with NAMI has their website is so super helpful, and they have a plethora of resources for you guys. I know that we're going to be dropping some of these links in the chat for you guys as well if any of these resources seem appealing or would be helpful for you. But to find more food pantries or other programs that might be near you, the NAMI Dane County Resource Pamphlet, pages 24 to 26, has a list of bullet points of the many different food pantries and other food programs that you can find that are near you. The local farmers markets are also another great option. and resource. These are often normally only open from like a mid-April through an early November, and are open early morning to like mid-afternoon. But there's farmers markets in the on the Capitol Square, the Dane County's farmers market. There's some on the east side and the south side, and then there are plenty of other farmers markets in the suburban areas like Fitchburg, Stoughton, Monona. They are all over, and those are such a great resource to find some like really, really fresh and locally grown produce. Next, the NAMI Cookbook Club is a phenomenal resource that us students have actually been introduced to through working with NAMI. This cookbook club actually helps bring people together by having the participants look at a cookbook of your choosing over several months and come together on a workshop like this or a Zoom call and share what they made. NAMI also has the NAMI Support Kitchen, which is fairly similar, but it shifts to more helping give you guys options for skills and meal prep. So it really focuses on your cooking and your meal prep as a supportive activity for individuals experiencing mental health challenges. And then again, the main difference between this support kitchen as compared to the cookbook club is you learn these simple cooking skills. You'll share your meals together on the calls, and you really get to build a community and a supportive environment, which again is something super phenomenal that NAMI offers. These are also, again, just a great way to help reduce any isolation you might be feeling, to encourage social interaction, and promote your well-being. Lastly, is this Double Dollars. Double Dollars is something for those who are using their SNAP benefits, and these Double Dollars essentially help provide a dollar back for every dollar that you spend, generally up to about $20 at your at these local farmers markets to help encourage people to buy more fruits and veggies. And I think all those links were dropped in the chat. I could be wrong. Oh yes,
Yep,
awesome.
they're in the chat.
Awesome.
Yes, so I'm just going to address a few of the questions I saw that we had in the chat. First of all, thank you so much for asking these questions. We really love being interactive with you guys. So I'm going to start with Tracy's, talking about kind of the sugar substitutes, and she kind of mentioned some artificial sweeteners. So I mean, artificial sweeteners are generally considered safe in small amounts. However, experts kind of recommend not relying on them too much and kind of focusing on like natural foods as much as possible. Although I know we all love the sweetness, I know some other great alternatives could be again like the monk fruit and kind of like sweetness with the applesauce or lemons, limes, honey, maple syrup. So those are kind of some alternatives. I don't know too much about sweeteners and everything that has to do with that, but I do know some alternatives that I kind of like to do a lot is like honey in my tea or lemon in my water, and kind of some stuff like that. And also, I know you mentioned the oatmeal serving. So, I mean, although it is recommended that it is only a half a serving for oatmeal, we do recommend, I mean, it's not that you can't have over a half size serving because that does sound very small, but I think what we're kind of recommending is kind of just adding more of those whole foods like fruit, and like chia seeds and nuts, and that can kind of help fill you up in a more like nutritious way. So again, with the like cinnamon, nuts and seeds, granola, and if that doesn't seem to fill you up, like, yes, the serving size is only a half of cup. But again, we're here to kind of recommend eating healthier and making healthier food options, not really focusing on how much you can eat. So it is very important to like include those fruits and nuts to help with your health and healthier food options. And I also saw, do you recommend tracking your food? So personally, I know I've tried in the past tracking my food, and I really struggle with it because it seemed more of so of like a task, and if I didn't track it, it was kind of like I would be daunting on it and listing everything I ate in the day. So I kind of struggled with the apps, but I do know everybody works differently. So I do know one app, my Fitness Pal, I have heard about. I've heard good things about it. I don't know much about it. But obviously it's better to try everything once and see if it works for you. So my Fitness Pal I've heard is free, and it's a great version to try out. So, yeah. And
Um,
then
just kind of adding
oh,
on
go
to
ahead.
that too. I've also used my Fitness Pal. I know like to get like the premium stuff, it costs money. I've always done the free version and it worked well for me, but I ended up quitting after probably a few days because it's kind of a pain in the butt, like Faith was just saying. But like personally, me, I've been trying to get more protein recently. So like I've literally been using my notes app. Oh, you can't really see it, but I've been using my notes app and literally like vaguely tracking my protein because I want to be tracking my food better, but it's kind of hard to track every single thing you eat. So starting small with something just like only protein could be also a great way. I also know people that have literally just used journals and written down in their journals too. So it's ultimately up to you. Um, what I recommended, I really think it's if you would like to do it. I don't think you have to, as long as you're just kind of keeping in mind the different things that you're eating.
Yeah, I love that. So, I mean, I guess that's it. So, to wrap up, we just want to say thank you again so much for joining and just taking the time to listen today. We know nutrition and mental health can sometimes feel so overwhelming for everybody, and especially with so much information that we've shared. But even by you just being here today and listening and educating yourself about kind of what supports your health is already just such an amazing step. And just remembering that improving your health doesn't have to mean that you're perfect. And just remember that those small, realistic changes over time can make such a big difference on how you feel. And our goal is just simply to make nutrition feel a little less intimidating and more manageable. So we really hope that you took something out of today, and we're more than happy to answer any other questions. And I did drop some helpful resources in the chat. So please feel free to use those and reach out to Quinn, or any more comments that you guys have. We'd love to answer them. So thank you.
Yes, please. If you all have any additional questions, please feel free to email me, and I will get them to the group, and we'll reply to those as quickly as possible. I did want to uplift a couple of community offerings. One list of a food pantry that's not on our list is with the Catholic Multicultural Center. So their food pantry is open from 1:30 to 3:30 on Tuesdays, and Thursday on from 10:30 to 12 o'clock. And if cooking is overwhelming and you would like to replace a meal and join a community meal, um, Catholic Multicultural Center also has a beautiful offering of doing a daily free meal, and it's every weekday from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. in the CMC dining room downstairs. It is open to everyone. It is, in fun fact, that their kitchen is also where we're hosting our support kitchen that meets once a month. I will send that information when I send everyone the link to the video once it's done recording. But I want to thank everybody for joining us, and I definitely want to thank the group of nurses for sharing their wisdom. If anything, of course, we know that how our sleep is, how we're eating, and how our mood is functioning are huge barometers of our mental health, and that we can be gentle with the process and kind of take away some different things that we can help support our mental health. But thank you all again, and we'll see you soon.